Also fantasy, I cannot say that word. That's bad. I definitely feel like being evil on stream would probably be very conducive to me being me on the internet. What? Oh man, I need to WD-40 this chair so bad. 2023 was not a year for Fanny. Is this the day that I tell Book Talk to go watch porn like the rest of us? Just go get a different chair. Stuff and spice and smut and whatever. What was the script I wrote? Also, I'm wearing a Charlie Swan shirt. I couldn't get an Asterian one at the Hot Topic, so I went with the next best thing. 2023 was a great year for fantasy fans. Specifically, fantasy gamer fans. From Spider-Man to Zelda to Diablo to Starfield, it was clearly a stacked fucking year. A sneaky little game came in after 3 years of early access and stampeded the market with its kooky NPC characters, extreme replayability, and haunting fucking musical score that just shook the fantasy world to its core. Or at least it shook my world to its core. Here's the thing, I don't think Baldur's Gate is a perfect game. It has its bugs, and it's truly held together by like duct tape and string in some parts. I have never experienced a video game that manages to evoke the actual feeling that I get when I'm reading a high fantasy novel. This game creates this atmosphere that behind every corner there's something waiting, and with your found family friends and a little bit of luck, you can scrape success out of the jaws of a grisly death. I can talk about Baldur's Gate all day, but if you clicked on the thumbnail, you're probably not actually here just for that. 2023 was not a year for fantasy book fans, in my opinion. Also, fantasy shows in general have been going through it, but that's gonna be a whole other video. The proverbial elephant in this room is a dragon. The dragon's name is Tarn. I don't actually know how we should pronounce that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about Fourth Wing today, as well as its sequel, Iron Flame. Some of you may be wondering where the fuck my Iron Flame video is, and the reason for that delay, despite the fact that I wrote a script, told you guys I was writing a script, did some cute little TikToks about how I was filming the video, filmed the video, and then when I uploaded the video to edit it, I realized it had no audio and had been recorded in slow motion. YouTuber mistake number 163. On top of that situation that occurred, I hated that script. I hated the script that I wrote for the video. I really, really hated the book. I was not doing well at the end of 2023, whatever year we're in right now. So I could not imagine myself refilming the video that I had done for Iron Flame, and putting myself through the agony that was that video. So instead, we're gonna be doing a little compare and contrast situation. Don't get me wrong, I will be ranting about some parts of Iron Flame in this video, but it'll just be in context with the grander genre of fantasy. So Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, let's talk about it. The TLDR is Fourth Wing came out of nowhere, last May from a publishing house called Red Tower. And the way that Red Tower works is they have a very speed to publish process for their books. They really don't care about the quality, they just want their shit out as quickly as possible. The internet has dubbed this company the Sheen of publishing. I don't know how to say that word. And for the most part, I kind of agree with that. I thought about doing a video on it, but it just felt like so many things happened at once with Red Tower and Rebecca Yarros that it just, there were people that made much better videos on it. Specifically, my name is Marinus. I will link her down below. There is so much information about this publishing company out there. You can definitely go check it out. Fourth Wing comes out in May and Iron Flame comes out in November. Crazy. I do think that Yarros probably had both manuscripts ready to go, because in publishing you should probably already have your sequel ready so that when you've published the first book you can have that come out. But it does seem like the sequel was rushed. I did make a video specifically about Fourth Wing and how I thought that the characters were incredibly lacking. The world building was shoestring at best. And I just genuinely thought that the only reason it became popular was because it got picked up in the TikTok algorithm at one point, and because of Red Tower's like forced scarcity, it became the talk of the town and nobody could get a hold of it because there wasn't any copies left. And so because of this like hype that was growing and steamrolling the industry, it became the biggest fucking seller that we've seen in a really long time. And so then Iron Flame comes out and people were frothing at the mouth for this book. There were midnight showings for a fantasy book. That hasn't happened since She Who Must Not Be Named books. You know what I'm saying? That's insane. This Dragon book sold more than the last Game of Thrones book, which technically speaking isn't necessarily surprising because the last Game of Thrones books came out so long ago. George, I really hope you're doing well, buddy. That's all I'm going to say on that topic. And so with the rise of this popularity, there was the rise of the dissenters. And then with the rise of the dissenters, there were the dissenters to the dissenters. There was so much, if you don't like Fourth Wing, you're not a girl's girl rhetoric everywhere that I saw. But before I go down that rabbit hole a little bit too far, let's take it back to another greener pasture, shall we? Why is Baldur's Gate so fucking successful? And why do I think it's leaps and bounds better than the catastrophe that is Fourth Wing and Iron Flame? Well, first off, I think the creators of this game gave a shit about their audience. I think they cared so ridiculously much for the people that were playing this game. They packed an excessive amount of content into one game. So much so, you automatically pretty much have two very different playable games within the amount for one fucking game. You can play it normally or you can play the Dark Urge. And like in this day and age of battle passes and pay to play like marketing schemes for all of the video games, this was tantamount to just giving away free fucking content. It's insane. Additionally, though I think the characters of Baldur's Gate aren't actually the most intrepid writing styles. Like, let's be real, Astarion is just bisexual twink Edward Cullen. He's not actually breaking any crazy character concepts here, but he and all of the NPCs have amazing emotional journeys that you can go on with them throughout the game. And there's like 7 of them. There's so many that you can just bond with and have these incredible moments with. It's really well done in a way that I have not seen or encountered in the video game landscape at all, to my knowledge. I'm not saying that it hasn't happened, I just haven't played the games that it happens in. I know there are a lot of games like Baldur's Gate, I'm just saying I haven't played them yet. I will most likely play them now because holy fuck. It is no secret on my channel that I do not hold any water for the current publishing trend of romantasy. I don't know why I air quotes that. I do not enjoy reading about a sassy main character who has all of these superpowers and her shadow daddy love interest. I find these characters incredibly boring and redundant at this point. But that being said, I do think that if I read a book where these characters are done well and they have an emotional journey that I enjoy and feel like it's earned, I have every belief that you can make those cardboard cutout type characters into ones that I find very interesting. There has to be some kind of subversion of that trope, I would expect, but I'm not saying that I think that all romantasy is bad. I think that a lot of what we are currently being shoehorned and just spoon-fed in the publishing industry is rote, just copied bullshit from everyone else. And I don't think that there is a lot of effort going into crafting new characters in these books, and publishing is just finding the next trope that they can just pump out at a remarkable speed. But back to BG3 again. You are allowed to take these characters to their darkest points or free them from the chains of their trauma. It's just incredibly well done. And honestly, it has no business being this good to be in the world where the Dungeons and Dragons movie exists. I understand that reading a book is far more subjective than playing a video game. Despite the fact that at one point, I think they patched this, you could speed run the beginning of the game so you could have sex with one of the NPC characters within 2 minutes. None of the romance elements of Baldur's Gate 3 ever feels forced or even unnecessary to the storyline. And also, it's just genuinely refreshing to see a narrative that treats like sex positivity, poly, and queer relationships with respect when you've been reading a bunch of books that are just kind of dipped in white feminism about smut, but are still steeped heavily in purity culture. Like, these books seem to say, like, smut is fine as long as you're having sex with a conventionally attractive person who is able to read your mind about your kinks without you having to discuss consent in any way. Is this the day that I tell Book Talk to go watch porn like the rest of us? On the topic of conventionally attractive characters, Rebecca Yarros is one of those authors that really thinks her audience is fucking stupid, and if she doesn't remind her audience that Xaden is attractive every 10 seconds, we will clearly forget, which is weird. It's a weird thing to do. And a lot of books seem to be doing it nowadays. I don't understand why. Like, this dude must be shirtless at all times, lest us females forget that this man is built like a fucking Tonka truck. On the same note, I will say that none of the NPC characters in Baldur's Gate are unconventionally attractive. Like, they are, dear God, devastatingly hot. Even Lae'zel. And Gale, for that matter. But the narrator of the game doesn't have to break the narrative to go, have you seen how fucking hot these people are? You don't have to do that. The dialogue and the way that the characters interact with each other is the sexual and sexy aspect of the way that they are. What? Starion kind of does mention how hot he is a couple of times, I think. He's also a narcissistic little shit, so we don't need to talk about that. The level of craft that went into creating Baldur's Gate and the level of care in developing the characters in comparison to Fourth Wing is hilarious. To nerd out about the game, the fact that you interact with just any random individual in the game, not even some of the NPC characters, with like having mud on your face and they will comment on that is crazy. It's crazy. I have friends who have spent hundreds of hours in the game only in Act 1, just replaying that part of it over and over again. I myself, I think I'm reaching about 200, and I haven't finished the game on one playthrough. Wow. These many different paths that you can take through the game are just fantastic, and the care that they put into having each one of these individual experiences be fascinatingly different. Just so interesting when you remember that Yarros couldn't pronounce the words she appropriated into her book. There are a lot of personal reasons why I'm not going to be making a video on Iron Flame for general consumption. I may very well do a short video kind of elaborating a little bit on what I was going through on Patreon, but I still find that particular instance of PR nightmare on Yarros's part to be pretty fucking ridiculous, if you ask me. The biggest goal for me in 2024 will be starting Twitch, and I hope to have a Dark Urge playthrough for Baldur's Gate as one of my first Twitch themed events. But if you are interested in that, definitely subscribe to obviously this channel, and if you're interested in bonus content, my Patreon will be linked down below. I'm gonna go now, guys. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye!